going to open up?
We're good to go, Brad.
We are recording.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. This is the Lehigh County Authority Board of Directors meeting of July 11th, 2022. This meeting is being recorded. It's a virtual and as well as in-person meeting. And it is available through our website as well. Let's have a roll call of the Board of Directors, please.
Certainly. Roll call of the board. Brian Noggle.
Here.
Scott Beaver. Dick Bonner.
Here.
Norma Cusick.
Here.
Ted Lyons. Kevin Baker.
Yeah.
Linda Rosenfeld. Jeff Morgan.
Here.
Amir Famili.
Here.
Thank you. We have 6 board members present.
All right, Lisa, did anybody inform us that they were not going to participate?
Linda was planning to be absent today, but I hadn't heard about Scott or Ted.
Okay, thank you. All right, at this point in time, we'll review the agenda and any need for executive sessions. Are there any changes, additions, corrections?
Today, there are no changes and no executive sessions planned.
All right, moving on then to approval of minutes from the June 27th Board of Directors meeting.
I'd like to make 2 suggestions. I'm an echo. The first one appears on page 4. It's really the addition of a word. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you look at the left end, it says generator. And it says Jeff Morgan asked legal procedures. I'd like to add the word about so that it would read Jeff Morgan asked about legal procedures.
Thank you.
The other suggestion I would like to make after I get through the whistling, and Mr. Chairman, I want you to know that the coffee chain has been broken. I thought that it would probably help us or help the reader understand in the paragraph that begins on a motion by Amir, et cetera, and then we say authorization for the construction phase. I'd like to add dash electrical, separate that from the part that's mentioned in the previous paragraph as the general construction contract. And really what we approved was the electrical portion of the construction. So if we could just add the term electrical, I think it would make it a little clearer. With that, I recommend we accept the minutes to the June 27th meeting.
Well, was the construction authorization for the entire project, including the electrical and a budgeted amount for the
With the exception of the general contract, which we received no bids on.
right, but there was no budgeted amount for the construction part of the authorization?
Yeah, there was a budget. There was a capital project authorization. I don't have that figure in front of me, Mike, but there was a capital project authorization that was approved. That included the electrical.
But not the general.
Correct.
Well, the 1,762,000, does that include a budgeted amount for the general construction contract? Because the electrical was only 1.4.
Right, but we also have professional services for the 151 for Rickwart and staff, et cetera.
Yeah, and Cowan and contingencies.
So the general contract would come back for a second authorization.
Yep. In about 8 or 9 months.
So I take it I have a motion from Dick to accept the meeting minutes with the changes as noted. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Was that Amir? Was that Amir?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I'm remote, so I can't read faces or hear everything. I'm actually I can hear everything, but it's kind of sometimes difficult to figure out who's talking. Okay, thank you. Let's vote on that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I abstain. I abstained. I was not at that meeting, Brian.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, motion passed then, right? All right, at this time, we open up the floor to any public comments on items that are not on the agenda. Are there any comments?
No comments here, Brian. Thanks.
Glad you're attending today, Brian. Okay, missed you last time. All right, no comments from the public. Moving on to action items. We have nothing under the finance administration. We do have one item under water. It's the water main replacement program cycle 6. It is seeking approval. It's the blue documents in the board package and the digital package. It is pages 8 through 26. And just let me mention that the staff had sent out the hard copy and electronic versions of the board package to the entire board. And if anybody did not receive either one of those, please let us know. Okay, moving on to water main replacement program cycle 6.
Thank you, Brian. Chuck Volk and Jason Peters are here to present this one.
Thank you, Liesl. I'll introduce the project and then Jason's going to present the details of the cycle 6 water main replacement for our city division. If you recall, back in April, on April 25th, the board authorized the procurement of the pipe. We were apprehensive of supply chain issues with the ductile iron pipe, so we did procure the water main. So that was done. That was done previously, and so I'll let Jason get into the details of the bid and also the paving agreement for the final restoration, the agreement between LCA and the city of Allentown. So, Jason.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for having me here today. Run through the project a little bit, project overview. The amended operating standards of the lease agreement requires LCA to replace approximately 4 miles of aged cast iron water main through 2024. Approximately 1 mile of water main was replaced in 2021. And the scope of this project is roughly another mile, 1.17 miles to be exact. The project will be funded by the LCA Allentown Division and receive some city grant funds from the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. Project status itself, back in March of 2016, the board approved the design phase of this project when we approved for 3 cycles, 4 through 6. Working closely with the city to obtain major capital approvals and outside agencies, Capital Works has obtained all approvals and permits required for cycle 6 construction phase. Just as Chuck made mention, back in April of this year, the board authorized and we went out and purchased the ductile iron pipe for this project, which included only pipe of 12-inch diameter and smaller, all of which has been received at this point. For this approval of the cycle 6 water main replacement project, again, includes 1.17 miles of work. And that'll get closer to meeting our requirements of 4 miles by 2024 in the city. The project was advertised for bid on June 1st. We had a mandatory pre-bid meeting, which was held on June 15th, where we had 6 contractors be represented at that time at the mandatory pre-bid. Bids were opened on June 30th. An alternate was added to the bid when we first originally put the project out to bid, to include roughly 45 feet of 30-inch diameter steel transmission main, which is located down at Klein's Island wastewater treatment plant. At the time of bid opening, we did receive 1 bid for the project. And to give some insight in regards to the bid itself, our engineers estimated that the project base bid alone would be $2.7 million for this project. The single base form bid plus the alternate came in at 2.54 million, which is well below our engineer's estimate. The bid that we received was from Joao Bradley. Bradley, give you some background on their performance. They've done our Allentown cycles 2, 3, and 5 projects throughout the city. They also have done our suburban division water main replacement projects as well. Also, Joao Bradley is currently used by LCA's distribution and collections departments for emergency work, some routine work as well. So therefore, we recommend awarding the general construction contract to Joao Bradley. Just as Chuck has made mention too, we came up with a cost sharing agreement with the city of Allentown to do the final restoration work on the road, which is milling and overlaying the road, plus any of the ADA ramp construction on the corners. We've done that in 2021 at cycle 5, City Allentown Division work. Worked wonderful. It's a seamless type of work where when we leave, they take ownership back and finish up the work. Works wonderful. Also, along with this project, we're looking for professional service authorization for construction engineering and management to Gannett Fleming. And we're also looking for a professional service authorization for inspection by Keystone Consulting Engineers. So we're looking for the board to authorize today the capital project authorization for the construction phase of cycle 6 water main replacements for $3,178,725, which includes professional service authorization to Gannett Fleming for $45,220, a professional service authorization to Keystone Consulting Engineers for construction inspection for $75,000, the general contract, construction contract to Joao Bradley for $2,542,505, and the final paving restoration contract to the city of Allentown for $366,000. Does anybody have any questions?
I would just add that regarding receiving only one bid, we got some feedback from the other bidders, and there was some hesitancy regarding the aggressive construction schedule. The contract documents require by October 15th that this project be substantially completed in order to dovetail with the city's paving schedule. Bradley didn't seem to be scared of that. I think other contractors were concerned with the availability of fittings due to all the supply chain stuff we've been hearing about. We pre-purchased the pipe, but we didn't pre-purchase the fittings because that's kind of on the contractor's means and methods to determine how many fittings they require. And so some of the hesitancy may have been because of that, because of the fitting supply chain. And depending on the size of contractors, some contractors have a stockpile of that sort of thing. So that's why we believe we only received one bid. But as Jason said, bid was less than the engineer's estimate. Our engineer's estimate used current trended construction costs. As everybody knows, construction costs are way up nowadays, and they had recent data from other bids that were recently opened, and hence they assigned a figure of about 2.7 million, and we came in much less than that. So we're pleased with the results of the bid, of the one bid.
Just for my curiosity, what is the cost escalation between cycle 5 and 6? Is that 20%, 30%, 10%?
Jason and I figured that someone would ask that. Jason can provide some detail.
So to answer that, the increase was roughly 60%.
60%.
And I think that is almost exclusively due to fuel prices. With All that equipment runs on diesel.
I mean, think about even just getting the stone out of the quarry, all the machines running in the quarry to break up the limestone, crush it, then also drive that from the quarry just out to the job site, let alone the job site equipment running full time. Quite an expense, and when you watch fuel prices more than double since last year for diesel fuel, it's pretty intense.
The 5 and 6 comparable as far as the, like, pipe diameters, and I know that the length of pipe is the same, but we're putting in 8-inch versus
So
24-inch, they're comparable projects?
So to answer your question, cycle 5, between the cycle 5 and cycle 6 comparison, cycle 5 was 1.13 miles of main, we're doing 1.17. The pipe diameters in cycle 6, there is an abundance more 12-inch ductile iron pipe than we are. That would be the big difference, which has an incremental cost more.
Sure.
So, you know, trying to give it to apples and the 60% intake, it's probably a little less than that. But in regards to what we're seeing trending in the region, Gannett Fleming, to go back onto what Chuck was saying, Gannett Fleming's pretty in touch with what's going on regionally here. They're also the design engineer for Eastern Suburban, and they just put a project out to bid. That was authorized, and those are some of the local numbers that they were using, basing their engineer's cost of opinion on. So.
Any other board questions? I have one for the solicitor. We have a cost sharing agreement with Allentown for $366,000 on this. Does that need to be handled as a separate item for approval?
Well, what I would do is I would do the construction or capital project authorization like you normally do, and say that it includes as well the professional service agreement for construction administration services, a professional services authorization for inspection, and also the cost sharing agreement.
Okay, so that can be included in the general
Yeah.
motion. Okay. All right, so we have a motion before us. Are there any other questions by anybody?
Hi, Brian. I have a comment.
Okay, Jen.
How is everybody? I want to make mention that when the estimate came in, LCA contacted the city because it was quite a bit higher. And we had a preliminary conversation about whether or not we'd actually have the program go off this year, 2022. We decided we'd wait and to see if the market indicators changed at all. We met about that and determined that the market indicators really weren't going to change between this year and next year, as far as we could see, by that much. So even though it is a higher rate, we did make the decision that it might be even worse next year, and that we would go ahead and ask that the program go off this year.
Okay, very good. I'm glad you guys met and talked about that and resolved it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? All right, we have before us a capital project authorization construction phase for $3,178,000 and let's do that again. $3,178,725. Professional services authorization to Gannett Fleming for $45,220. Construction and inspection services to Keystone Consulting Engineers for $75,000. General construction to AJO Bradley Construction for $2,542,505, and a cost sharing agreement with the City of Allentown, $366,000. Do we have a motion to that order?
So moved. This is Norma.
Thank you, Norma. Second by,
I'll second that.
all right, second by Dick. All right, thank you. All right, any questions? Let's have a voice vote on this, please.
All right, board vote on cycle 6, water main replacement construction phase. Brian Noggle,
Yes.
Dick Bonner,
Yes.
Norma Cusick,
Yes.
Kevin Baker,
Yes.
Jeff Morgan,
Yes.
Amir Famili.
All right. Did Amir vote on that? I didn't hear that.
Yes, he did. We have 6 yes votes.
Okay, the motion passed then. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on to wastewater, we have one topic, Heidelberg Heights Sanitary Sewer Consent Order and Agreement is seeking approval. It is the yellow documents and board package and digital board package pages 27 to 30.
Okay, so this one is Jason and I as well. LCA and DEP entered into a consent order and agreement in 2019 as a result of numerous wet weather related violations at the wastewater plant. The consent order and agreement contains a corrective action plan that contains an implementation schedule that directs that we replace all of the original clay sewer pipe and public side laterals with new watertight PVC material. And the corrective action plan also indicates that we will address the private side sewer system. The private side sewer system, the delineation being roughly at the curb, from the curb to the house, to verify that there are no illegal connections. Illegal connections to a sanitary sewer system include roof drains, sump pumps, that sort of thing, faulty plumbing, cracked private side laterals. To date, we've replaced over 80% of the public side sewer up there, 80% of the mains and over 80% of the laterals. And we've not seen a proportionate decrease in the amount of wet weather flow into the plant. The sustained duration of the infiltration is shorter, but the inflow, the peak flows are still high. So that tells us that we have problems, the source of which are on the private side. So this program that Jason's going to discuss is to investigate the private side and then follow up with corrective work. And I'll just add one more thing. Heidelberg Township adopted a sewer rules and regulation ordinance in 2019, and that empowers us with the authority to do this work, to investigate the private side, investigate residential plumbing, and make sure that there's no prohibited connections. So I'll let Jason get into the details.
Sure. So thanks, Chuck. Again, and for the background on the project itself, I think Chuck has explained that pretty good and where we've been, where we're headed to. We got some more public portion side stuff to do, but it's one more year of project, but we're making a heck of a dent into the public portion of the system. So to focus on the private side work, part of the consent order agreement was to focus and start on that work by 2023 here. And we're going to get into some of the little bit of the nuance and the details to that. In preparing for that, we initiated a public outreach program earlier this year with the help of Sue Sampson from LCA here. We put out a couple mailers to the residents and our customers in the Heights, letting them know what was upcoming and what was coming forth to start the inspection side program off, what those details were going to be, so that they were aware of the program and the understanding of what needed to be eliminated in the system, those illicit connections like Chuck was saying. So the program includes an inspection of the private side system and the sewer laterals that are going to the home itself. One of the methods that we'll be doing is smoke testing of the system, which involves putting a liquid smoke product in a manhole and blow that through the system. And then we're going to be looking for roof leader connections if we can see them. Also, sometimes there's open jointed material for the lateral itself. Typically, you like to do that during the heat of the summer when the ground's dry, so you don't have a high water table. You'll be able to see that smoke come up, permeate through the ground. We'll be able to catch those, notate those, which ones those are. But also part of that inspection, sometimes that smoke will lead into the house. Part of the mailer system that we put out was to notify the people that smoke is not dangerous to them. And if they do see that in their house, to quickly go outside and talk to the Keystone Consulting engineers who are looking to take on for the professional service portion of this. So that can be duly noted. The second part of the inspection process is, as Chuck made mention, is to get inside the homes, do home inspection, look for sump pumps, any other cross connections, building floor drains that are in the basement. Some of those sometimes can be problematic, and they're going to take note of those. Those will then all lead to the corrective action work that the private side homeowners will have to take care of to remediate, to remove those connections. So what we're looking for in this capital project authorization is for the professional services of Keystone Consulting engineers to do that inspection work, schedule with our customers and work with them to get into their homes to do those home inspections, and also to do a post-analysis reporting corrective action measures for the project to be kicked off here. For the future project schedule, based upon if we get award today on this meeting, private side sewer inspection program will be completed before the end of the year, and which is kind of important because we want to reach out to the Lehigh County Community Block Grant and look to see if we can get some assistance for these low-income housing owners that are in the Heights, so that they can get some help and assistance for the corrective action means that they may have to undertake.
Yeah, but there's a grant program out there that would apply to something like this for corrective, private side work.
Chuck, how many homes or connections do you guys have to inspect? Roughly.
130.
138, exactly.
Okay, 138. Yeah. We're hoping for cooperation, with the majority of the folks. It's not the most popular program, as you can imagine, but other municipalities do routinely do it. And we need to do it in another one of the systems in Lynn Township coming up. So we'll probably be coming before you after this one is done. We'll have a lessons learned, and then we'll do it there. And
I know one project I was involved with, what they did was to kind of help keep the costs down, was they, since you were disconnecting from the plumbing system, you didn't need a permit or a licensed plumber. It wasn't a code requirement.
right.
Now, that's not an LCA decision, that's the township's decision, but that was somewhat helpful if it was simply disconnecting a roof leader or something simple the homeowner could do themselves that helped to gain a little cooperation, that they didn't have to get a permit, pay for that, get a licensed plumber in, pay for that. So there's something to think about.
Yeah, no,
Absolutely.
thanks. That's a good suggestion.
So Jason, Brian here. So Keystone will identify any areas that need to be corrected. And after that, is it up to the township to provide an enforcement action to verify that it has been done, the work has been done?
Per the township ordinance, that enforcement action, it was granted and bestowed upon LCA.
Correct. Yeah, that township ordinance 2019-1, it empowers us with the enforcement authority.
Okay, thank you.
But we've had the cooperation of the township. They are aware of this, and they get copied on all the mailers that go to residents. So they're on board with this. They are just not the enforcement body.
So what happens if the homeowner decides to reject your comments or your need for corrective action?
Then I would turn to my solicitor and ask him what to do next.
Sorry to put you on the hot seat.
I probably will.
If there's a legal obligation, there's a remedy, but what the remedy will be, we'll have to look at the ordinance, but regardless of what the ordinance actually says, normally there's always a remedy of getting an injunction for someone to do something if necessary. So But if there's an obligation, there'll be a remedy.
Thanks.
Okay,
Actually, Brian, it may start with someone even letting them in the door if someone's really adamant about it. So hopefully that doesn't happen.
Yeah, what we did pump the brakes on this like a year ago. We wanted to do it after COVID because we figured that would add just a whole
Yeah.
nother level of complexity and
Letting access to occur.
we're hoping people are more reasonable now with that.
okay, thank you. Make sure our people are safe. All right, so we have before us go ahead, somebody had comment?
No.
All right, we have before us capital project authorization planning phase for $73,075. That includes a professional services authorization to Keystone Consulting and Engineers for $62,575 for Suburban Division Heidelberg Heights Sanitary Sewer System Consent Order Agreement Private Side Sewer Inspection Program. I need a motion and a second.
I'll make the motion, Brian. It's Norma.
I'll second the motion, Brian. This is Dick.
All right. Motion by Norma, second by Dick. Any questions? Voice vote, please. Liesel?
Okay, this is a board roll call vote for capital project authorization for the Heidelberg Heights Private Side Inspection Program. Brian Noggle,
Yes.
Dick Bonner,
Yes.
Norma Cusick,
Yes.
Kevin Baker,
Yes.
Morgan,
Yes.
Amir Famili.
Yes.
All right, we have 6 yes votes. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody. And thank you, Jason and Chuck.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item number 6 on the agenda, monthly project updates. Let's see, digital board package 31 through 37. It's the white papers in our board documents.
All right, so for the June report, we have, just wanted to highlight a couple things that are coming up at the next meeting. We have a quarterly progress report for our strategic plan that we'll present at the next meeting. So but believe it or not, we're into the 3rd quarter of the year. Things are flying by. So we look forward to that at the next meeting. We will also do a resolution related to the Suburban Water Division financing. That'll come up at the next meeting, and Ed feels confident we'll be ready and we'll have that ready to go for the next meeting. And then our usual monthly reports. So a relatively light agenda next time, but some important topics. There's some project updates that are listed in the report. If there are any questions about those, happy to try to answer them. That's all I have.
Okay. Any questions? Hearing none. We'll move on to item number 9 on our agenda, staff comments.
I have just one brief comment, and that is that on Friday, we learned that the state budget was approved. And as part of that announcement, we learned that some infrastructure funding will be released to Penvest. So that's from the Federal Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, something we've been watching very carefully because the funding is specifically related to lead service line replacements, and LCA is actively trying to be ready for that first round of grant applications. So wanted to just share that's on our radar and came out on Friday. That's all I have.
All right, thank you very much. Solicitor comments?
I just want to let the board know that I will not be here for the next meeting. I'm going to be on vacation, and my partner Ken Herman is supposed to be here. So,
Okay, thank you very much. Enjoy your vacation.
thank you.
Any public comments at this time on any topics that they want to discuss?
Nothing here, Brian. Thanks.
No, thanks.
Okay, thanks, Brian and Jenny. All right, we have no identified executive session, so at this point in time, we are adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody. Stay safe.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.